Hey everybody, welcome back to the shop. It's great to have you back here. It's springtime and we've been doing the springtime things, and one of those things is fixing up the lawnmower and getting it ready to go. If you have been with me for a while, and about a year ago I put up a video on sharpening my lawnmower blades and how I do that and the reason I do it the way I do. And I wanted to repost that, but before I repost it, I wanted to give you a little bit of an update. I wanted to show you here just how I sharpen these blades and how you're going to see it in the video. You can see here where that blade on top is very blunt, but that bottom one there you can see is much sharper. It's the factory blade that I'm going to put on the lawnmower. But the one that I usually put on is pretty blunt, and yet you can see here how it's really quite sharp. But you can see the wear that takes place right here on the back of those, just the metal fatigue just from the grass and from hitting clods of dirt and things like that, just how thinned out that upper one gets and how much meat there is on the new factory edge there. And the update I wanted to give was a viewer had commented on the video about a year ago and had a very good point. They had an electric lawnmower and they were wondering if you keep your blades that blunt just so that they're strong, won't that create more drag? And yes, it will create more drag. So I would not recommend this for those of you who are using electric lawnmowers or have a small yard or something like that. You can sharpen your blades at a much sharper angle of attack, just like on the new factory blades, and it'll work quite well. In our situation here, we live out in the country. We have a lot of molehills and we have these crawdads you'll see in the video that come up. And so the very first mowing, we're knocking down all of that stuff and busting up sticks and things like that. And so when I put that new sharp edge on after the second or third mowing, I will sharpen my blades and I put it at that very blunt angle so that it'll be durable. But anyways, here is the video. I hope you'll enjoy it. Guys, have a great day. God bless. Fill your cup with whatever you're drinking. Come join me on this next video. Welcome to the shop. It is a beautiful day out, and we've got, instead of a refurbished project, we have a maintenance project today, and that is to get the lawnmower blade sharpened. I don't sharpen the lawnmower blades first thing in the spring. I do one mowing first, because we try to pick up all the sticks that are around the yard, but inevitably you'll miss a few, and so it's okay to chop those up because your lawnmower blades aren't brand new and fresh. We also have moles that we're constantly fighting with, and we have these little crawdads, and they leave these little mud towers that stick up out of the ground. So we need to chop those all down. So I don't like to mow or sharpen the very first mowing, but this is the second week. We have mowed last week, and so we're going to sharpen these lawnmower blades. I want to show you, I have a little bit of a different philosophy that was taught to me in college. I had a boss in college that was a heating and cooling specialist. He was a mechanic, he was an engineer, he did so much. The guys that I worked with, we said it jokingly, but there was a lot of truth to it. We learned just about as much in the shop as we did in the classroom. And so he was great to work for, and he had a philosophy about sharpening lawnmower blades that he taught me. So I want to share it with you. So come along as we get this taken care of. This lawnmower has 3 blades, and I label them 1, 2, and 3. This one over here takes the most damage because it's what goes up underneath bushes, against fence rows, and things like that. So I take this one and label it 1, this one here labeled 2, and the one in the middle labeled 3. And that way, when I put them back on, they all get rotated, and that makes it so that I can keep track. All right, you can see the blades here. This was the one that was on the outside of going for the chute where all the grass goes out. You can kind of see the blade damage. They've all been worn. All the use of last year. We have about 2.5 to 3 acres that we mow here. And so you can see they get worn pretty bad and are in bad need of sharpening. But you look at this outside one and you can see there's a lot more damage, dimples and everything else. This is what goes over the sidewalks. This is where grass meets gravel and you go over the gravel. So this one here does get more damage. Now, one thing when we're sharpening these, you need to keep them balanced. So we got to take them out and run a heavy wire brush, the angle grinder brush, over this and get all of this grass off, just so that it'll balance well. It doesn't have to be perfectly clean, just needs to be able to be balanced on our nifty little balancer here. All right, we can see, I guess that looks like it's pretty. I didn't think this table was level, but it looks like it is right there. So now we'll just set that aside, put this right up here where it was nice and level. And now we're going to sharpen these blades up. All right, conventional wisdom says that we should have a nice sharp edge right here. Have a good sharp grind. But when you hit something that's hard, the nick in that edge, because it's more delicate, is going to be more drastic and it's going to cut in. The way that I like to do my blades is less shallow of a cut. It's more abrupt. That edge is still very sharp. It will still cut. But if you'll notice, look just how much extra meat there is, extra steel there is in the blade. So when you hit something, it's not going to ding in and damage your blade as much. So I'm going to cut like this. This is the thing that my boss taught me in college. This was his idea, and I started practicing it, and I started noticing a lot less damage on the lawnmower blades. So when we go to sharpen these blades, we're not going to put a real drastic edge. We're just going to put a very shallow grind on there so that it does not, it'll still be sharp. You could still cut yourself on it. I'll still be able to cut myself if I rubbed against it. It'll still be sharp, but it will not damage as easily when it hits a stone or a piece of mud. There we go. That blade is perfectly balanced. Now it's hard to tell if you go by the ends because they're canted so that they draw upwards. But what you want to look at is where this comes down and lines up on both sides. And if you'll look at, both sides are even. So we've got a balanced blade right now. Now another thing we have to pay attention to is that there is a little burr that forms on this edge. And we just want to take a file and you want to keep it flat on this edge right here. You don't want to put a bevel on there, a micro bevel. You just want to take off that burr, and there it's off, and that is very sharp. I could run my finger along that. It is extremely sharp, and yet let me reset the camera and I'll show you that you do have a grind. So hopefully you can see that right there. There is a very slight grind, and so your leading edge is out there in front, but it's got a lot of meat out there so that any kind of damage, any kind of small rocks or gravel will not damage it too much. And so we do have a grind. We've taken care of the bevel on the other side. This up here has a burr, but it's not that big a deal. This blade is balanced and ready to be reinstalled. One more thing I want to note on these before I go to put them on, and that is that when you're grinding, you got to make sure you're always keeping it moving back and forth across that edge. They are all nice and sharp now. They're balanced well. The balancing is important because you don't want vibration. Vibration will tear up your bearings, and then you've got a much bigger maintenance job. So these are going to probably last me one more season. You can see how they're getting thinned out right here. And every time it cuts, it's pushing grass up, and it's amazing how much wear there occurs on the ends of these blades. So next year I'll probably have to replace them, but these will serve us well for this year. I've even seen these begin to crack right in this area. So remember, when you're grinding on these, you can see there's just a nice clean edge there, no color. You don't want to see any color. If you see any kind of a dark blue or purple, then you are taking the tempering out of the heat treat out of the blade, and you don't want to do that. So we've got our blades done up nice. We're going to go ahead and mount them back up on the lawnmower and have a good season of mowing. All right, we got that job finished up, and the lawnmower is cutting beautifully. We changed the oil not too long ago, so that should be the lawnmower. The machine itself should be ready to go for a long time yet. We should get it through this season. I thank you so much for joining me on this. I hope it's been entertaining and useful to you. Please, if there's somebody you know that might enjoy this content, share this video with them, share the link, give us a thumbs up if it was entertaining, and I hope to see you on the next one. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. Most of the time we're doing tool restorations, and we'll do some more of those. We've got a lot of those coming up. This was just a chore that I had to do, and I had been thinking for a long time of sharing it with you. So thanks again for joining me. Have a great day. God bless.